interviewing one.
Okay, that was not A. A was the NFL.
Oh, the tractor. Yeah.
Tractor. Yeah, the NFL.
Final answer. What is tractor?
What is tractor? So even if. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Average Joe Football Show. I'm your host, Joe Fair. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Joe Exotic's favorite football podcast. Yes.
Joe Exotic.
Joe Exotic.
Oh my god.
Rest in peace to him.
He's gonna be free Joe Exotic.
Well, yeah, free my man Joe Exotic. I'm once again. Did I even say my name at the beginning of the podcast? Because
I believe you did.
Okay,
maybe not, but
you can tell how this podcast is going to go if I already didn't remember that. But I'm joined, obviously, once again by my illustrious producer, Joe. How's it going, Joe?
It is going actually pretty good today.
Yeah, that's good. The vibes are kind of chill in here today, not going to lie. One of your light bulbs is out in the studio here.
It's kind of nice.
And the vibe's a little bit chill.
Mood lighting.
Yeah, mood lighting. So if you sense kind of a chiller vibe today on the podcast, that's kind of why.
Drop a like if you sense if you can feel our chill
Leave us
vibe.
a 5-star rating if you sense a chiller vibe. And if you don't, leave us a 5-star rating as well.
Yeah. But speaking of Joe Exotic, do you watch Tiger King? Did you watch all of Tiger King?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Carole Baskin?
It's not safe to say on this podcast what my thoughts on Carole Baskin. Why is she not locked up? Honestly, I mean, the evidence against her is pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not great at all.
I think that they should lock her up just for the fact that she still is in my trending page on Twitter now. Who is her manager? How does she constantly still relevant?
Why aren't we in there?
I know. We put in work. All she does is have a cat sanctuary.
Mm-hmm. Big cat sanctuary.
Big cat
Thank
sanctuary.
you very much.
Yeah. Okay, there's a difference.
I'm subscribed.
Subscribe.
I'm one of the cool cats and kittens.
Cool. You're one of the people that works there for free. She's
one
such
of the slaves.
Yeah, one of the slaves. Carole Baskin, honestly. Oh man. So if you haven't watched Tiger King, and by the way, this is the Average Joe Football Show. Eventually we're going to talk football. A ton of things going on in the NFL right now. Championship weekend coming up this weekend. That's right. The AFC and NFC championships. Got some really good matchups.
You mean the Super Bowl?
No, not the Super Bowl.
Oh.
The
other one.
Yeah, the other two.
Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The NBA Finals. So we're going to talk football, but, we're going to do what we usually do, start off with a little banter. And speaking of banter, Carole Baskin, for those of you who have not watched Tiger King, basically Carole Baskin, if you can summarize her character, she is an activist, maybe, somebody who is supporting big cats, and by taking big cats away from other makeshift zoos.
Yeah.
But she puts them in worse cages.
Yeah, the same thing.
And then not only does she make money off of that and makes a living off that, but she also doesn't pay anybody that works at her.
She just volunteers.
Yeah, just volunteers.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. At least Joe Exotic gives his employees somewhere to live.
Yeah.
Right.
But honestly, if I'm in high school, I need community hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Go work with some big cats.
Yeah. I would love to do that for community hours.
Oh, yeah, but sure. I mean, but let's not act like what she's doing is any better.
No, not at all.
You think I don't know. Just Carole Baskin just a little. Oh, yeah. Also, she probably killed her husband as well. If you haven't seen
Fed her to the cats.
The show. And here we are 9 months after that Tiger King came out, and we're talking about Tiger King on the podcast now. But the reason that we're talking about it is because Joe Exotic, he's in prison, spoiler alert, because he hired a hitman to kill Carole Baskin. And also he was abusing cats, apparently. But he was heavily expecting to be pardoned by Donald Trump here on Donald Trump's last day in the presidency. Today was...
Where did that even come from that they thought that was going to happen? Was it just like a
hunch?
They think I think he's going to do it as a joke or one final send off or like what?
A few months ago, I think that somehow Donald Trump had talked about Joe Exotic. Somebody asked if they would pardon him, maybe as a joke or something, and then Donald Trump said, "I'll take a look at it." And I guess through that, somehow Joe Exotic's legal team became very, very confident, like very confident that they were going to get pardoned. I think there was like 140 some pardons or something. Joe Exotic was not on the list. So I think he's on a 20-some year sentence. So that's a rough go for a good old man, Joe Exotic.
Do you think Biden's ever going to let him go?
No, he's done. To be fair, I don't know if he really deserves, other than for entertainment purposes, to not be in prison. Because he did hire to kill somebody, you know?
Yeah, but he was an emotional wreck.
No, yeah.
Like,
he was
watching him break down and cry.
He was
so sad.
He was very dangerous. He was a danger to himself and everybody else there at the end of that show. If you haven't watched it, I would recommend it.
It is great. Yeah.
It is. It's quite a. It's a doozy, to say the least. But yeah, he did not get. But they were so confident he was going to get pardoned that his legal team rented a huge stretch Dodge Ram limo, which I didn't even know they made those. It's a limo, but then it has a box of a truck on the back.
Oh man!
And it was,
how long is the box?
It's normal size.
Oh, that's so gross.
It's just a normal size. Imagine if the box was super long and it was just a normal size truck. It's like a truck limo, but it's just a normal cab of a truck, and the rest is a tailgate, or the rest is the box.
Oh, dude.
Oh gosh. That would be even better, I think.
Yeah, that would be great.
Why do you need that much cargo space? What are you transporting?
What are you hauling, bro?
Another limo?
Yeah.
Oh goodness gracious! But
that's great.
Apparently they were so confident he was gonna get pardoned, and they were gonna go in the limo. They're gonna get McRibs after. It was gonna be a whole thing, and now they're gonna have to return that limo. So that's rough.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, that's rough. So, prayers up, thoughts and prayers to our man Joe Exotic, the fellow Joe. I was really hoping he would get released so we could get him on the podcast.
And actually, that brings us to our average Joe of the week.
Average Joe of the week, and it's the legal team for a Joe Exotic. They got a lot of hype around it. Didn't quite get the job done, but in the end, you still have a stretch limo that's a Dodge Ram.
Yeah. Was it rented or bought?
I think they rented it.
Okay.
So I hope they at least took it for a spin.
Yeah, I hope they did some Bernies.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. But I guess maybe we should jump into football, Joe, unless you have anything else you want to... Or not.
What's that?
We maybe couldn't. Okay. Or we shouldn't. I don't know.
We shall.
We tried. So usually we record this podcast on Tuesdays. And then yesterday I came over. We tried to record it. Didn't work. Joe, why didn't it work?
I bought a lemon of a computer, I think. No, I'm just having a lot of technical difficulties with the program, the recording software, and my computer itself. So it was just a real pain.
And we were both kind of emotional wrecks.
Yeah,
it was just
we just called it a night.
Yeah, we called it a night. And here we are on a Wednesday now. Episode comes out tomorrow.
Yeah. I have a busy night ahead of me.
Yeah, sorry about that. Oh yeah, that's like, you really gotta get going then, huh?
It's my fault. Yeah.
All right, well, that's gonna wrap up today's show.
Thank you for listening.
I'm just kidding. Why don't we just, without further ado, jump into a little bit of news. First up in the news, we have a ton of head coaching hirings. Last week, it's crazy. I don't think we had any head coaches hired in any of the vacant spots. And now this week, we have all but 2 of the vacant spots filled with new head coach hirings. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars hiring Urban Meyer, the former Ohio State and Florida head coach, multiple-time national champion, one of the greatest college coaches of all time. And then we have the Falcons hiring former Tennessee Titans offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. And then the Jets hire Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator from the San Francisco 49ers. And then the Chargers, with sort of a surprising move in hiring the defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams, Brandon Staley, who became a hot commodity there late in the hiring process because of his ability to completely shut down that Seattle Seahawks offense in the playoffs. And also, he was the coach of the best defense in the NFL this season, statistically. And then we also had the Detroit Lions hiring the New Orleans Saints assistant head coach and tight ends coach Dan Campbell the former player there for the Detroit Lions and former interim head coach of the Miami Dolphins. So some interesting hires. I'm definitely interested to see how Urban Meyer does with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's interesting to see. He is, like I talked about, one of the best college coaches of all time, without a doubt. It's really up. He's up there with guys like Nick Saban. I mean, he's got multiple national championships at different schools, and he had to cut his career off early there because of health reasons. And now he's going to the NFL, something that he's never been before. He's never coached in the NFL at any level, and now he's going to go and coach a team with the number 1 overall pick. Potentially or almost guaranteed Trevor Lawrence. That seems to be one of the biggest reasons why Urban Meyer took this job, is because there's reports that he's excited to work with Trevor Lawrence. So I'm interested to see how Urban Meyer gels in the NFL, if maybe the NFL is easier as far as stress goes, because you're not dealing with school and stuff of that aspect. You're not, whereas in college you're kind of the leader and you're teaching kids. Now in the NFL, you have kind of almost co-workers. They're grown men, grown adults working with you. Maybe that puts less stress on them. Maybe it puts more stress on them. But it's definitely interesting because the thing that I think Urban Meyer was best at in college football was recruiting. That's kind of what got him his success. That's why Ohio State is dominant still to this day, is because Urban Meyer's ability to get 5-star recruits at Ohio State, get the best recruits, best quarterbacks, best running backs. Every year in and year out, they have the best talent in the country, really. It's them in Alabama and schools like that. And his ability to recruit is something that will not be showcased in the NFL. You can't recruit the same way in the NFL as you do in the NCAA because you have cap space. It just doesn't work like that. And you have guys under contract for longer than 4 years, so you don't have a complete turnaround of the roster every 4 years. So it's definitely intriguing to see if he can take that next step, if he can lead a Jaguars team with very, very low expectations. I mean, they have not been a winning franchise in a very, very long time. So we'll see if Urban Meyer can turn that around. And out of the other hirings, I like most of the other hirings. I thought Brandon Staley was a huge surprise to Los Angeles Chargers. It seemed like that was going to be Brian Daboll's chance to get a job. That seemed like from the beginning that was where Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, was going to go. And then all of a sudden, the Bills don't get eliminated, and out of nowhere, one evening, the Los Angeles Chargers decide, okay, we're just going to hire Brandon Staley. And he's a young 30-something-year-old defensive coordinator. He worked with Sean McVay, obviously, like we said, coached up one of the best defenses we've seen in a while in that Los Angeles Rams defense. And we'll talk about how they did this weekend against the Green Bay Packers. So that's an intriguing hiring. I love the Robert Saleh hiring by New York. Everybody has only good things to say about Robert Saleh. So that's definitely an upgrade from Adam Gase there. And he's bringing a lot of really good coordinators with him. I'm interested to see if they keep Sam Darnold there and try to maybe work him into the offense, or if they decide to go a different route with a new coach, a new offensive coordinator, if maybe they try to get their own quarterback. So definitely a lot of intriguing situations there. Dan Campbell, I really like him as a person. I loved him when he was the interim coach for the Miami Dolphins. Definitely intriguing. I think I've said intriguing and interesting probably 4,000 times.
Here's average Joe's. Sorry, let me take that again.
Oh, God. Joe was just sleeping, for those of you that don't know. He was asleep.
Word of the day. Intriguing.
Interesting. Essentially the same. So it's very intriguing to see how Dan Campbell handles it. I don't think he's so much an X's and O's guy, although I don't know all that much about Dan Campbell, so maybe he is an X's and O's guy, but he seems like kind of a player's coach, a rah-rah kind of guy, a guy that's going to fire people up, and that works in certain scenarios. And I'm definitely excited to see, if he can turn Detroit around, where that direction of that franchise is going. If Matthew Stafford will be there for much longer, and all that good stuff. But the Texans and Eagles, the two teams still yet to hire a coach. We haven't heard much as far as favorites go for the Texans job. Apparently, they're now interviewing Eric Bieniemy. Deshaun Watson's involved in that as well. I guess they're trying a last-ditch effort to try to keep Deshaun Watson. So we'll see how that goes. And the Eagles, it seems right now that Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots, is the favorite to get that job. And that's surprising to me. I did not think Josh McDaniels was going to get an interview this year. I didn't think there was much of a chance that he'd ever get another interview after what he did to the Indianapolis Colts just a few years back. For those of you that don't know, Indianapolis decided a few years back, before hiring Frank Reich, they were going to hire Josh McDaniels as their new head coach. And Josh McDaniels got his staff together. He brought people to Indianapolis. People were moving. People quit other jobs to pursue this new job in Indianapolis. And after all of that, Josh McDaniels says, actually, never mind. I want to stay the offensive coordinator in New England, leaving many people jobless and not knowing what to do. So I have a very little bit of respect for Josh McDaniels. I don't have a whole lot of respect for him after what he did there. And I can't believe that another team genuinely wants to give him a shot. I mean, I don't know what they saw in the Patriots offense this last year that's like, yes, let's go get that guy. But Josh McDaniels, it seemed like he was just waiting in the wings for Bill Belichick to retire, and he was just going to kind of take over as the head coach there once Bill Belichick retired. But now, maybe he's looking at the situation. He's like, wait a second. Maybe Bill's not going to leave me with a very good team, and I'm not going to look very good. And you never want to be the guy to follow the guy. You never want to be the guy to follow the greatest coach of all time. So maybe he's getting cold feet, and he's looking to move on. And definitely be interesting to see if he moves on to Philadelphia. And then the next little bit of news, the scouting combine. Obviously, COVID is still happening, unfortunately, no matter how much we don't want it to be happening. That's another interesting thing. We're talking about Tiger King, Joe. Tiger King kind of marks like the very beginning of COVID.
Yes.
In the Americas.
I remember it because I had just moved out. I had moved out. I had become my own man, moved out of my parents' house.
Very good.
And it was March, and March is when it all hit the fan. And so I moved out. Rudy moved in with me. We were having a great time.
Yeah.
Me and Rudy were hanging out one night. He's like, dude, have you seen Tiger King? I'm like, no, I haven't. And then we proceeded to watch all of it. Together. Almost all of it.
That's really romantic.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, and that was, because I remember they had the whole show, and then they did like the recap show or whatever, or like the reunion thing.
Yeah.
And then they were all, had to do it over Skype and stuff because...
I never even watched the reunion.
Really?
I never
Oh,
did.
yeah, because of the whole quarantine thing. Or not quarantine, the whatever it's called.
Yeah, quarantine. Self-isolation?
Self-isolation, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're all one and the same. And here we are back exactly where we were at that point.
Yeah.
So, anyways, another thing that's canceled because of COVID, the NFL Scouting Combine. Joe, do you know what the NFL Scouting Combine is?
Yep.
Okay. Is it a NFL-themed piece of farming machinery? B, a place where college recruits come and do workouts and do interviews and stuff like that in order for people to kind of get an idea of what they are? Or is it C, a pool party?
What was the fourth option?
There was none.
Oh.
Yeah, none of the above.
A, the interviewing one.
Okay, that was not A. A was the NFL theme.
Oh, the tractor, yeah.
Tractor, yeah, the NFL
Final
theme.
answer, what is tractor?
What is tractor? So still wrong then. A tractor is not a combine.
No, I know what the answer is.
Okay.
The one where they do workouts and interviews.
It was kind of a softball, so it's I
Okay.
wouldn't be that impressed, that you knew the answer. But yeah, the NFL Scouting Combine, for those of you that don't know, like Joe does, basically players come, they do the 40-yard dash, they do the bench press, they do all these, people call it the underwear Olympics, because that's where the guys are wearing their tights and they're doing all their things, they're getting all their measurements, and it's really like a weird type situation. And that's canceled this year. That's not going to happen because of COVID. They're not going to have any in-person workouts. It's all going to be at pro days. So the schools have their own pro days. And all the interviews are going to be done via, I guess, Zoom or Skype, whatever the difference is. Psychological testing also going to be done over Zoom and Skype. So that sucks. I mean, the NFL scouting combine is kind of, a lot of it is very pointless, not going to lie. But that's also where we get a lot of rumors and stuff about trades and signings and stuff, because that's where a lot of NFL teams, their front offices talk to other front offices, and we start to get a lot of rumors and stuff from the people attending the combine. So we're not going to get maybe a whole lot of that this year, but hopefully, for the love of God, everything goes back to normal eventually. Please, please,
please, Joe Biden.
Please, Joe Biden, save us.
Do you think that once America is kind of done, then everyone's going to be done?
Like with COVID? Oh, 100%.
I think America just thinks it runs the world. I think
once... No, they do. That's
yeah, you're right. But I mean, like, I think once America is kind of done, then everyone's going to be like,
we're done. Yeah. We're done too. So let's just let them be done already. Okay? Let's stop being mad that they're not taking it serious enough. Anyways, moving on to the final bit of news, and that's Philip Rivers with kind of a surprising retirement. Philip Rivers calls it quits after 17 years in the NFL. He finishes 5th all-time in passing yards, 421 all-time passing touchdowns. Really a tremendous career, probably the best or the second best quarterback from that 04 draft class, where it was him, Big Ben, and Eli Manning. What a draft class that was. Like I said, a little surprising. It was always a possibility that Philip Rivers would retire, but it really seemed like we would at least get Drew Brees' announcement before Philip Rivers. But Philip Rivers does announce that he's retiring. He's going to chill with his 9 kids. This guy's got 9 kids. Holy smokes. He did release a statement in which he has the names of all of his kids. So I'm gonna read the statement that Philip Rivers released. Every year, January 20th is a special and emotional day. It is Saint Sebastian's feast day, which is something that I've never heard of. The day I played in the AFC Championship without an ACL, which is crazy. And now the day that, what? Oh, shoot, sorry. I forgot how to read there for a second.
Sorry, just take that again.
The day I played in the AFC Championship without an ACL. And now, the day after 17 seasons, I'm announcing my retirement from the National Football League. Thank you, God, for allowing me to live out my childhood dream of playing quarterback in the NFL. I am grateful to the Chargers for 16 seasons and the Colts for the 17th season. Thank you to all my coaches that helped me grow as a player and a person. Thank you to the support staff. This is a lot longer than I thought it was. I appreciate the opposing defenses making it challenging physically and mentally every week. I also enjoyed the banter. Who doesn't enjoy a little banter, right, Joe?
Yeah, you're right.
I appreciate the referees for putting up with all my fussing. I think I was right most of the time. Dadgummit, he says in the statement. So that's cool. Thanks to the fans in San Diego and around the nation that both cheered and booed. Thanks to my teammates, without a doubt, my favorite part of the game, being a teammate. Thank you for being mine. Lastly, thank you to my wife and best friend, Tiffany, and our children, Haley, Caroline, Grace, Gunnar, Sarah, Peter, Rebecca, Claire, and Anna. Could not have done it without y'all's unwavering support. As my playing career comes to an end, the next chapter begins, and then there's something in, I think, Latin that I can't pronounce. I'm not going to say it.
Latin.
So that is Philip Rivers riding off into the sunset. Shout out to Philip Rivers, the man who literally one time played an AFC Championship game with a torn ACL. It's crazy. I'm definitely going to miss the part of his game where he talks all that crap on the field. He was definitely one of the best crap talkers. I guess I'm not going to say the S word on the podcast.
I guess I won't say the S word.
I guess not. In the history of the NFL, I love watching some of his mic'd up stuff where he's just getting all up in somebody's face. So shout out and cheers to Philip Rivers on an amazing career, a Hall of Fame career for sure, without a doubt. See ya. Now moving on to the games that happened this weekend. Joe, how many games happened this weekend?
4.
Wow.
6. 4.
Wow, you shouldn't have said 6, man. You got it right on the dot, right off the beginning. 4 games this weekend in the divisional round.
So the next one's this is the semifinals, and the winning 2 teams going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly right. Very good.
So they haven't even played yet?
No, we're going to talk about that later.
The 4 games.
No, 2 games. 2 games this weekend.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I forgot that 2 teams have to play and one. Yeah.
You have to have another team to play a game.
Yep.
Legally. You're obligated. And the first 2 teams that played this weekend was the Rams at the Green Bay Packers. And the Packers walked away with a 32-18 victory. Aaron Rodgers continues on his MVP season. 23 for 36, 296 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also a rushing touchdown where he juked out a defender. And this was a dominant performance. It probably could have been more dominant by the Packers. But Jared Goff held his own for a while. This defense did all they could to stop what is an extremely, extremely balanced attack. And this is something that this game shows something that I believed for a long time, and that it's no matter how good your defense is. And that is, the Rams have the best defense in the NFL. They had the best defense coming into this game. Good offense always, except for sometimes, trumps good defense. And that's exactly what happened in this game. The Packers offense put up 484 yards on the number 1 defense in the NFL. That's the first time this season that the Los Angeles Rams allowed over 400 yards of offense. And it was in the biggest of all spots. Aaron Donald was not right in this game. You could tell he was not totally healthy. And when he's not healthy, that makes it infinitely harder on the rest of that defense. He was very emotional at the end of the game. And Aaron Rodgers, he is playing at a borderline psychotic level right now. I mean, you can tell he just knows he is the best thing in football right now. And there's a clip of him grinning from ear to ear before a play, just knowing that he's got this team beat. And that's exactly what he did. And to me, what makes this Packers team so dominant and so dangerous, and you have to go back a few episodes, or it would probably be at least like 8 episodes. I talked about who I thought the most dangerous team in the NFL was, and I said it was the Green Bay Packers. And I think their balance offensively, they have a tremendous trio of running backs there. Aaron Jones had himself 99 yards in this game, and then you had Jamal Williams with 65, and then A.J. Dillon even pitched in with 27 on 6 carries, so 191 rush yards altogether. And then you add on top the MVP of the league. They're going to be tough to beat, and they have a defense that's, it's not great, but it's good enough. It's got some pieces. You got Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, and then you have Jair Alexander as the boundary corner, one of the best, most underrated corners in the NFL. And that was just too much for the Rams to handle. The Rams are a fantastic defense, and it's crazy how much things have changed, because it was just a few years back when they're in the Super Bowl, we're talking about how great their offense is. And now it's seeming like there's rumors swirling that maybe Jared Goff and Sean McVay don't have a great relationship, and who knows how long Jared Goff will be there. And crazy how much things have changed since that dud that they had in the Super Bowl. But the Packers are moving on, and the Rams are not. And then we move on to the next game, and it was the night game there on Saturday. The Ravens at the Bills. This one was fixing to be a shootout. 2 offenses and 2 not that great defenses heading off against each other, but it ended up being exactly the opposite of that. A 17-3 final score for the Buffalo Bills. And every single time I pick against the Buffalo Bills, I'm wrong. So I think I might just completely stop doing that. We'll see later on in the episode. But Josh Allen, despite having a slow game, he didn't play maybe his best game. He finished 27 for 37, 206 yards and a touchdown. Him and Stephon Diggs still found a way to connect for 106 yards and a touchdown, despite Josh Allen not playing otherworldly as he has at times this season. The Bills still found a way to pull out this win or maybe the Ravens just found a way to lose this game. And there was a lot that went wrong for the Baltimore Ravens in this game. It started off, like I said, super slow for both offenses. Both defenses played really well in this game. The Ravens defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, and the Bills defensive coordinator, Leslie Frazier, really cooked up a fantastic game plan. Both offenses were stagnant. They were not able to get anything going. This went into halftime 3-3 because a bunch of missed kicks. Justin Tucker, Joe, your guy, Justin Tucker, best kicker ever.
He missed?
He missed twice. His first kick, he misses off the left upright, clangs it off the left upright. So
opera singer Justin Tucker?
Yeah, the opera singer, the one that
seven different languages.
Yeah, seven different
Justin
languages.
Tucker.
He found about 7 different ways to miss kicks in this game. Yeah, it was actually insane. Justin Tucker doesn't miss kicks; he just doesn't. And it was an extremely windy day and a miserable day. But the first kick in the first half, he clangs off the left upright. So what do you do? Okay, I'm obviously kicking, too far left, so I'm going to adjust, kick the other way. And what does he do with the second kick? Right off the right upright. So the complete opposite. He over-adjusted. Just a crazy overall first half. Going into half, like we talked about, it was 3-3. And then Buffalo comes out the first drive of that second half, puts up a touchdown on a long drive. And then the Baltimore Ravens come down the field. Looks like they're about to tie it up. 3rd and goal. Lamar Jackson throws a pass into the end zone, and it goes from a potential tie game to a 14-point swing because it's picked off by Teron Johnson and returned 101 yards for the touchdown. And that was absolutely the turning point of this game. Teron Johnson, the turning point, some people would say, of this Bills franchise. I mean, it looked like the Baltimore Ravens were going to storm back into this game and make this a fight. And Teron Johnson's pick six completely destroyed the Baltimore Ravens because they fell apart completely after this game. They could not get a snap off. There was a couple times throughout this game where the snap was so horrible that the play was broken from the beginning for the Baltimore Ravens. And then after this pick six, the snap goes over Lamar Jackson's head. Lamar Jackson is near his own end zone. He throws the ball away. It's intentional grounding, so there's a penalty. He also gets a concussion. He's out for the game. So now backup Tyler Huntley has to come into the game and try to lead a comeback against the Buffalo Bills, one of the best teams in the NFL. He could not do it. Tyler Huntley, a guy you've never heard of. But it was a complete come apart by the Baltimore Ravens. And really just hats off to Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator there for the Buffalo Bills. He cooked up an amazing game plan. He blitzed the Baltimore Ravens a ton. I have not seen Lamar Jackson hit that many times in a game in a long time. That was really the key to the game. I'm interested to see what he does next week against a completely different offense, because these two offenses in this game were polar opposites. The Bills refused to run the ball, and the Ravens early on in this game refused to pass the ball. So the Bills defense is going to go from a team that refuses to pass the ball to a team that is all about passing, very much like them next week in the Kansas City Chiefs. And then on to the Sunday games. And the first game was the Browns at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs walk away with a 22-17 victory over the Cleveland Browns. Patrick Mahomes finishes 21 for 30, 255 yards and a touchdown. Him and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce combined, they both had over 100 yards. That was a horrible way of saying that. Goodness gracious. But Tyreek Hill finishes with 110 yards. Travis Kelce with 109 yards and a touchdown. Baker finishes 23 for 37, 204 yards, a touchdown and a pick. And this game was a doozy. I'm not going to lie. Kansas City started off red hot, and it looked like this would probably be a blowout, and the Browns were going to get embarrassed after embarrassing the Steelers last week. But then Cleveland storms their way down the field before halftime, has a fantastic drive, and it ends in the most heartbreaking of fashions. The stupidest rule in all of sports once again rears its ugly head. Rashard Hollywood Higgins catches the ball from Baker Mayfield, diving towards the end zone, has the ball knocked out of his grasp with a helmet-to-helmet hit, honestly, from Daniel Sorensen. And it gets knocked out of the end zone, and by rule, for some reason, that's a touchback for the other team, so they lose possession of the ball, no touchdown. That was devastating because then going into the half, it's now 16-3. Something like that. Anyways, the Chiefs have a lead, a bigger lead, because the Chiefs go down the field now and kick a field goal, and that was looked to be the dagger for the Kansas City or for the Cleveland Browns rather. I honestly thought that was it. That was going to be their only chance to come back in this game, but then they had another chance, and that was when Patrick Mahomes went down with a concussion. It was really a scary hit. He got hit, and he looked like he was in another world. He didn't look like he knew where he was. I think his neck got twisted, maybe a whiplash type of deal, but he goes into concussion protocol. Chad Henne comes in, immediately starts marching them down the field, and throws the ugliest interception you'll ever see. I mean, to absolutely no one. So the Browns have one final chance, it would look like, to march down the field, and they're going for it. They're marching down the field, and Kevin Stefanski, who's been aggressive all day going for it on fourth down. He has a 4th and 9 with under 5 minutes left and one timeout left. He decides not to go for it. They punt the ball away to Chad Henne. I know for a fact if Patrick Mahomes was playing that game, there's no way they punt that ball away. But because Chad Henne was playing, he just threw an awful interception. They decide, hey, we'll give him one more. We'll give our defense one more shot to make a stop against Chad Henne. And they absolutely couldn't do it because on Chad Henne marches them down the field. They have a 3rd and 14 after Henne takes a terrible sack. But on 3rd and 14, Henne runs for about 13 yards, puts his body on the line to get that final yard. Is just short. 4th and 1. Andy Reid brings out everybody in shotgun. It looks like they're just going to try to draw the Browns off sides. And I was saying, no way he goes for it. And so is Tony Romo. No way he goes for it in shotgun. And originally an empty backfield. They ended up motioning a running back later on before the play was snapped. But I was like, there's no way they go for this on 4th and 1 in basically at half at midfield. And they snap the ball, a rollout to a wide open Tyreek Hill. Tony Romo loses his mind, and Cleveland falls to Kansas City. And now Patrick Mahomes still in concussion protocol. So we're hoping, praying that he can play next week. But a big-time win for the Chiefs. And for the Browns, this sucks. It sucks to lose. It always sucks to lose. But I think that Browns fans can be proud of what this team has accomplished this year. This is not the same old Browns anymore. This was a resilient game. They refused to quit. And you can say, oh yeah, who knows? They would have maybe been blown out if Patrick Mahomes stayed in that game. But if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, Joe. And that's really what it comes down to. Who cares who's in the game? They fought so hard to try to win this game. They came oh so close. So I'm excited to see the future for Cleveland. I'm excited to see Kansas City next week in the AFC Championship against the Buffalo Bills. And then the final game of the divisional round, and it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints. The Buccaneers walk away finally beating the Saints. 3rd time's a charm for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 30-20. Tom Brady outduels Drew Brees in what looks to be, it's not official yet, but it looks to be Drew Brees' final game of his career. This game was a super hot start for the Saints. Just like in the Chiefs game, the Saints got off to a torrid hot start. 2 huge punt returns, one of them called back by penalty. It looked like the Saints were going to run away with this game early, but the Bucs defense kind of took over after that because they could not get anything really going after that hot start, other than Jameis Winston trick play where he handed the ball off and then pitched it back to Jameis Winston. He had a 56-yard bomb for a touchdown. Other than that, the offense for the New Orleans Saints could not get anything going. Drew Brees finishes 19 for 34, 134 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. And those 3 interceptions were huge. Were huge in the Buccaneers' victory. And it's tough to see a great player like Drew Brees go out like this, go out kind of sad. But on the other hand, on the other sideline, to see Tom Brady, a guy who has been winning games like this for over 20 years already. I mean, it's absurd. And you can talk about the defense, and absolutely, guys like Devin White were huge for the Buccaneers in this game. He had 10 tackles, an interception, and a fumble recovery. He had the final dagger interception of Drew Brees, and Leonard Fournette played well. Ronald Jones played well, but you cannot tell me that this Bucs team would be here with Jameis Winston at quarterback or with whoever at quarterback. Tom Brady, what he's done this year and what he's done for 20 some years now is insane. And this is coming from somebody that, as a child growing up, I had to witness Tom Brady ruin my Sundays for my entire life. I hated Tom Brady. He was my least favorite person. And as I've grown older, I've kind of learned to respect what Tom Brady has done in the fact that he just wins. He just wins games like this. He wins games every week. He wins big games. He wins small games. He just wins. And that really is what separates him from every other great quarterback ever. His playoff wins, he has more than double the amount of playoff wins as the number 2 guy. It's just completely absurd. So as much as this should be maybe about Drew Brees and his retirement, and we'll get into that, on a future podcast when Drew Brees maybe officially announces his retirement. But as of this moment, he has not. But I think this should also be a celebration of Tom Brady putting his team in position again to compete for a Super Bowl. People thought, he will never be anything without Bill Belichick. And now you look at where the New England Patriots are, a very similar roster to what Tom Brady had last year. Tom Brady led them to a 12-4 record in the playoffs, and now they didn't make the playoffs this year. Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay, a very similar roster to what they had last year. Jameis Winston could lead this team to the playoffs. Tom Brady leads them to a game within the Super Bowl. Who knows how much further they're going? But to me, it's just insane to see what Tom Brady has done year in and year out. And it's unbelievable that he's doing all this at 43. He had 40 touchdowns this season at 43 years old. That's insane. So shout out to Tom Brady and shout out to Drew Brees as well. It sucks to go out like this because the Saints have had so many heartbreaking playoff losses throughout the years, but still a fantastic career and a fantastic run by the Saints and by Drew Brees. And it'll be crazy to think that somebody else will be playing quarterback full time for the New Orleans Saints next year, and it's going to be a very interesting offseason for them as they're just way over the cap, hundreds of millions of dollars over the cap, and who knows who their quarterback's going to be, who knows where they're going to go. But that wraps up all the divisional games. So why don't we move on to next week in the championship games? Now we finally move on to an extremely, extremely exciting weekend in NFL football, in the NFL. That's what we talk about on this podcast, NFL football. Championship weekend. And I honestly think these 4 teams is the best case scenario, best case Ontario for championship weekend. These are the 4 teams I wanted to see. I think a lot of people want to see. I think these are the 4 best teams in the NFL. You can argue other teams, sure, do it. But in my opinion, these are the 4 best teams, and I'm happy to see them make it this far. And it's going to be an extremely exciting weekend. 4 really good offenses and 4 defenses that probably won't be able to keep up, to be honest with you. In the first game on Sunday is Tampa Bay versus Green Bay, the battle of the Bays. Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. Who thought we would ever see Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers against each other in the playoffs? I know everybody was projecting them as a Super Bowl matchup for years and years, but we finally get them in the playoffs, and it's on the NFC side of the bracket. And this is going to be a fun game, honestly. I talked about earlier how I thought Green Bay is one of the most complete teams in the NFL, and I think the same can be said for the other Bay, Tampa Bay. I think that these two teams might be the two most complete teams in the NFL. Offensively, defensively, run game, pass game, all that stuff. I think the Bucs, they have a running game that's really coming into their own. Ronald Jones is playing well. Leonard Fournette's playing well all of a sudden. It's like they saved him up now for the playoffs. Obviously, Tom Brady's playing fantastic. Aaron Rodgers is playing out of his mind, like I said, at a borderline psychotic level. I think his confidence is at an all-time high. And I hope we see a shootout here. I hope it's just Brady and Rodgers going back and forth. All these weapons that they have. I'm talking Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard, and then you got the running backs there for Green Bay. And then obviously on the Tampa Bay side, you got Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Gronk, and then you got Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, all those weapons. I just want to see them full force. These defenses are good, but I don't know if they're good enough to slow down these offenses. And I'm hoping we see a shootout. And I have not picked either of these games yet to this point. So I'm hoping I can convince myself some way, somehow, to pick one of these teams. It's going to be tough. I think this is going to be a tougher matchup than some people think. As dominant as Green Bay has been, they did lose to Tampa Bay 38-10 in Week 6. And now, how much can we take away from a Week 6 game right now? I don't think we can take much away. I think these are two very, very different teams. I think Green Bay is not at all the team that they were at that point. And I think Tampa Bay is not really the team that they were at that point. But this game should be entertaining. I hope that both these games are entertaining. And I think if I had to pick it, and I do, because this is a podcast about football, it's so tough because I think Green Bay is the better team. I think Aaron Rodgers right now is the better quarterback. I think they have the better offense. I think they have the better defense. But Tom Brady just wins games, man. He just wins games. I talked about this. He just wins football games. So I'm gonna pick the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to upset the Green Bay Packers here. And Tom Brady goes to, I think, what would be his 10th Super Bowl. So,
and then the old dog gets to play the new dog.
Yeah, which new dog is that?
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, you're picking him already.
That's my pick.
Okay.
Is he gonna play? If he plays next week, if he doesn't, then
nice.
Then
that's
the
good
other
analysis, Joe. Very good. But yeah, the old dog gets to play one of the young dogs. Josh Allen's also a young dog, so I guess that could happen. So I'm picking Tampa Bay. I don't feel all that great about it, but Tom Brady just wins games, man. And as much as I love Green Bay, I said that they're dangerous. They're the most dangerous team in the NFL. But I don't know. We just got to watch the game, I guess. And then moving on to the next game, the AFC Championship game. And all I have to say about this game is, please let Patrick Mahomes be able to play this weekend, because this game loses a lot if it's Chad Henne versus Josh Allen. It's not quite the same ring to it as Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen. If we're going to talk about this game as if Patrick Mahomes is playing, because I hope he is playing, because does it get any more fun than Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen right now? In this game, another one should be a shootout, and I hope it's a shootout. Both these defenses have not played all that well this season. Now the Bills' defense was amazing last week. That's without a doubt. Leslie Frazier was awesome, but you go back the week before that, they struggled a little bit against the Colts. And I said going into that Ravens game that the run defense for Buffalo was the problem, but the run defense played phenomenal in that game. And played probably better than the pass defense. And now they're going to have to totally flip that and play really, really good pass defense against Patrick Mahomes, the greatest quarterback in the NFL, and the best passing offense really in the NFL, other than maybe the Bills. And to me, the key to this game is what defense is going to step up. Because I think there's going to be a ton of points scored. Even if we do get Chad Henne, I still think the Chiefs will score points. To me, there's going to be points scored. It's going to be a high-scoring game. There's going to be short drives, big plays. The key to me is which defense is going to step up. And there's players on each defense that need to step up. And the key, the X factor for me is Honey Badger on the Kansas City Chiefs. Tyrann Mathieu, he's a guy we've seen multiple times in big games. We saw it last year in the postseason. When a big play needs to happen, Honey Badger makes a big play. We saw it last week against the Browns. He had a big interception. And to me, this Chiefs defense is not very good. They've played awful at times this year. So when it comes down to it, you need your best player. And you could argue that it's maybe Chris Jones, but we're going to say for the sake of this argument that that's Tyrann Mathieu. You need him to make the play. And I think I wouldn't be surprised down the stretch. This game comes down to the wire, and Tyrann Mathieu, Honey Badger, makes a big play, whether it be a interception, a pass breakup, or something. We've seen it time and time again with Tyrann Mathieu. He makes these big plays, and I think he's going to have to do that again for this Kansas City Chiefs team to come out with a win. And now, if I'm picking this game, and I said earlier, every time I pick against Buffalo, it does not work out. And I put a ton of consideration into this. I still, as I'm talking right now, I'm not totally sure who I'm going to pick in this game. But I guess if I have to pick, I'm going to side with, as long as Patrick, and this is why it's tough. We still don't know if Patrick Mahomes is playing. He has practiced limited this week, still in concussion protocol, but he's practiced it in a limited fashion. Hopefully he can play. And if he does, I'm going to say the Kansas City Chiefs go on to their second Super Bowl to play Tampa Bay. I can't believe I picked Tampa Bay when I picked Green Bay and Kansas City from the beginning of the playoffs to make. I'm going to switch it. I'm going to say Green Bay wins the first game. I'm going to say Kansas City wins this game. And we have a rematch of Super Bowl I. And that's my picks. I'm looking forward to this weekend in football, Joe. I don't know about you. You know, obviously you're going to be watching all the football. That kind of wraps up the show. I hope you guys enjoyed. I don't know if vibes were kind of different today. Obviously with the light bulb out, as you guys can tell. Hope all is well with you guys. I don't know. It's crazy that I never know how to end the show every time. We've done this 41 times now. And I still never really know how to wrap it up. Joe, you got anything you want to wrap up the show with? Throw me a life preserver? Please? Yeah.
So like and subscribe. Share the show with your friends. Leave us a rating. Say something silly. And
we'll say it on the freaking pod.
And we'll say it on the pod.
Yeah.
Say something silly. We'll say it on the pod. And
follow us. Social medias.
@_Average Joe.
_Average Joe Show.
Average Joe Show?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
You got it. Very good.
Perfect.
Yeah, I guess that wraps things up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're all is well, in these crazy times. Again, everything's crazy. Everything's different. But one thing that stays the same, one thing that stays constant, and that's the Average Joe football show, putting out content every week, even if we're recording it on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday. It doesn't matter, man. Even if Joe has to stay up until Lord knows how long to edit this, even if that happens, we're still going to upload content. So make sure you share this with your friends, and make sure you watch football this weekend, and we will catch you guys on the next one.